And here we go. Hello, everybody. How is everyone doing tonight? I hope you're all having a good time. Hello, Daniel. Hello, Nelius. Some good old recognizable names there. Okay, yeah. As you probably saw from the announcement, we're gonna do another art exploration tutorial live stream. I don't know, something or other. Hello, Chapter One. You're lurking from work. Shouldn't you be working? Well, maybe you're thinking about a change in profession. So, if you want to learn how to draw to change your career, then I think that's acceptable. Oh, yeah. Hi, Maxwell Dragon. Welcome. Yeah, this is gonna be like the last one, kind of a Q&A sort of thing, as well as some artistic advice. I don't know. I don't really have a plan for this, but last time went over well, and I think I wanted to do another because somebody on the YouTube where I uploaded the recording of the last stream asked that if I could show like the whole drawing process from start to finish, and even though I did that once on Picardo with the Beastars picture, I think we could do this again, like just in a simpler manner, so I can show off, very basically what my workflow is, and then also, people can ask questions or comment on stuff, and I might be able to tell you a little bit about different aspects of drawing. Okay. If there are any questions so far, just throw them in the chat, and I'll try to respond to them as quickly as I can. Okay, just get this all set up here. Oh, don't worry, they'll questions will probably come in later. Okay. All right. As I talked about last time, uh, we're starting in the Dad's Studio 420 Pro. Don't be alarmed by the fact that this program is called Pro. It is completely free. The basic models as well, but yeah, like I showed you last time, you could buy a whole bunch of stuff for this. And there was one uh, that I think it was called Volpis, if I'm not mistaken. Yeah, there we go. Uh, so you can already buy like anthropomorphic characters for that, which is pretty cool. Um, oh, okay. Playing the waiting game, I get it. Um, so yeah, they have some furry models, which is pretty cool because they're of course great for reference. And they also have like some morphs. I mean, this is a bundle, so this is $60. It's quite expensive, but like this one I think is the yeah, that is 25 bucks. There we go. So this is like the basic model, and yeah, what we're gonna do is we're gonna start out with the program and just load in the very basic uh, Genesis model. The Genesis is the what they call like the model uh how to foundation, I guess. Like all models are based on this one system, and because it's easier to look at, we're gonna give them the gray material because it looks a little bit less creepy or more creepy depending on who you ask. I think it's more useful because it doesn't distract you. You can see more like the highlights here on the body and such more easily. And you can like freeform, transform, and like move these your body parts around, and also do all sorts of morphing with the characters once you buy the models. So I'm gonna try and see where was the Vulpes one. I don't know, I think it was Reynard. There we go. So like for instance, if I turn the Reynard body slider up, you can see like the paws forming, the leg spinning and stuff. And then also I can do the same with the head, and it slowly transforms it into a fox, which is kind of cool, I think. So yeah, it looks like a latex finish. Yeah, well, You're not wrong, but we can turn on the different uh, shader, and that looks much more natural, I guess. Anubis, yeah, I also have an Anubis model actually. I think, let's see, Majestic Anubis. Yeah, there we go. What we need to turn the, oh no, wait, rain art. There we go. Already forgotten that we need to turn that back down, otherwise it will look weird. Anubis, Majestic Anubis. There we go. Well, that looks very differently. Can also work, because it's a very canine-like shape. Also happen to be wearing your overseas smiling face mask from Furry Document. Oh, thank you so much. My headband lost a smirk on it, and lots of people complimented. That's so cool. Uh, yeah, so this is not per se 3D modeling. This is just more like 3D puppeteering, I guess is a good way of calling it, because the models are all pre-made. You just load them in and then position them the way you want. And they also help you by giving you poses to download as well. So we have like base poses, but we also have some easier pose creation. There we go. So full body, and because like even if you want to make a standing pose, it can be really difficult to sort of like get this natural kind of look. So if you go just like man standing, and just go for image pictures, sorry, for images. And because there's this sort of like body tension that you need to get right, because it can, like, this looks very weird the way he has his arms like that. It looks kind of off, because when somebody's just standing there, usually they have they have something going on with their leg, with their hands, and the legs are in a certain position and stuff. Tipo is always the best for memes. Yeah, that's true. Why is the age generator cool? Well, if you want to be lazy, sure, but yeah. So if I try to position the character in a certain way, um, just turn this off here. Uh, then yeah, it's gonna be difficult depending on what I want to do. So like that studio also helps you out with some things like the controls, the parameters. Like you can put on a left hand spread or grasp, and then like all the fingers move. I don't have to position all the fingers separately, which is very helpful. And then also like bend the hand. So yeah, but like if I use a pre-made pose that's just like that, then already you have something that is a bit more natural looking. I think that the feet actually look a bit too small for my taste. Or the paws. Oh wait, propagating. No, that's the foot. There we go. Propagating scale. Foot propagating scale. So we're gonna make this a bit larger, and I think you can also transform these, which is kind of neat, because like the earlier Death Studio version was really difficult about it, but now like they have this system where they just oh wait, this is the wrong controller. They like add the polygons that, is it that one? I think it is, it's that one. Oh yeah, there we go. They add the polygons where whenever you take something out, or if you like lengthen something or make it shorter, like the to some degree the program will adapt the figure and make it look a little bit more natural. So that's kind of neat. There we go. Just need to, yeah. I guess that's fine. Is like a 3D mannequin? Yeah, pretty much. Fatigue drags me to bed. Oh well, you should go to bed if you're sleepy. Good night. You can always catch the recording on YouTube. Um, and we can try to go for something a little bit more involved. Running is also very difficult to get right. Like this was already looks pretty good, but to sort of convey the motion is a difficult thing to do. So I guess, yeah, standing pose is probably a good idea. Oh, that's the same one I just heard earlier, but gonna make him look a bit towards the camera, I guess. and then also maybe do something with his arms. So I don't know. So eventually I want this to become a wolf, because this was just sort of what I had in mind, as a very generic character. Because last time we drew a tiger, and I figured it would be will only be fair if we would do a wolf this time. And I can also show you what I mean by, like, using these models as references, because it's all very dependent on like how much you want to utilize these programs, and how much what some artists would call cheating, or some people would call cheating. And I think it's a fair criticism, but it's all about you being comfortable with the way you do things. And like, if some people accuse you of cheating, well, then I guess that's their choice, but I think, if you draw, and if you have fun doing that, then who the hell cares? And for me, it's like using a live model, except the model is just in the computer. So actually, I'm not a big fan of these paws. Let me just get rid of them. I'll draw the paws my way. Sorry. I'm just gonna get the head. There we go. And then I need to change all the sizes again, because I'm so used to like starting out with the normal human feet, and then adjusting them to fit my own like my own ideas, and then I'll just draw the paws based on that. So if I have like very realistic looking paws, I don't know what to do with that, because it feels like it's not my style. So I'll just make the feet a bit. There we go. I guess I need to reposition that. Yeah, okay, that's better. Okay. It's race week. Well, what's going on with race week? Is that oh, you mean because of Formula One?
Formula One on Sunday.
Oh, right, okay. I didn't know if I didn't know that when there's one day where there's a Formula One race, it's race week.
Yeah, they call it that.
Okay. Don't say you're cheating, just punch him in the face. No, I wouldn't go that far.
I'll punch him in the face.
Yeah, okay. That's your choice.
Well, defending you.
Aw. Yeah, but most people are, I think, very like relaxed about this sort of thing. You don't have very many art snobs in the fairy fandom. I mean, some are, but I think most people just like looking at the artwork. And yeah. Okay, so I guess we'll just have a very very basic pose. I also want to do something when this is done. I want to make the files available for you. I'll probably upload them to like maybe Dropbox, or my Google Drive account or something. So like you can then hopefully download them and use them yourself. Okay, so I'm just gonna save this real quick. I always use numbers for the names. I know it's probably not a good idea, but yeah. So maybe we can do something with the arms. I'm not quite sure. Oh, that was wrong. I should click on that one. Okay, that's just. I always get like very very particular when it comes to poses, and like see if I can make something better. Oh, we could give him a thumb. Give the thumbs up. Actually, I like that. I think we're gonna do that. That's cute.
Cute.
Yeah, I like that. There we go. Let's just make it a little bit more, because like posing in itself, and like getting a good pose is basically a science on its own. Because if you have like a theory of poses, they say that they should always have like a very distinguishable silhouette that you can just very easily recognize. That's why a lot of artists, when they start coming up with an idea, they sort of like make these blobs of like one color, like for instance black, and then sort of go like, okay, if I want to make a sitting pose, I just make this So I want to have this as a sitting pose, and I want the leg here and the arm here, and just have this like really quick and dirty way so they can sort of imagine what it would look like. And then if it doesn't seem dynamic enough, they start changing stuff and they go in and get more detailed. We also could add a tail for him, but I think I'm gonna draw that on myself later on. So now we're gonna render it real quick. Just yeah, I don't want to. There we go, and turn it into a PNG. And I don't know, we're just gonna call it like stream reference. So let me just, there we go. Stream reference, open Photoshop. Okay, and there are only snobs about certain anatomy, big critics in any way. Yeah. Thing is, when it comes to anatomy, I guess getting more help doesn't necessarily mean you're cheating. Like I know uh, some people do not like using references because it feels to them like it's not really a challenge. But like with anything, if you don't know something, you look it up. Like I don't know what a house looks like if I don't look up houses. If you ask me to draw a house, without ever looking something up, I'll go like, okay, yeah, so this is a house, right? But if you want me to draw a specific style or like a specific type of house, then of course, if I look up references, I can sort of get a better idea of what it is and how everything works. And in the event, I'm gonna end up with a better picture because I looked it up and I looked at references. So a house is a mesh. All right. So okay, first of all, I'm gonna resize the picture a bit just to have it at a higher resolution. That's something I always do, and something I think is really important. So because when you have a picture at a this is a bit off, 1 pixel. If you have a picture at a lower resolution, then you want to use it for something, then of course it's tough to resize it. Like case in point, if we like paste this here real quick, and then turn it into like a 300 pixel picture, and then we turn it up to like 4000, and you can see how blurry it gets, and this is like 100% now. So that you can never like regain quality. And I know there's AI processes and stuff like that that you can use nowadays, but still, like if you start out, it's better to start out at a higher resolution and then you resize it and scale it down than to have it at a small resolution and then suffer the loss of detail. All right, so now we're gonna get started with the actual drawing process. So I showed you last time how I start out with the drawing itself. Gonna lower the brush size a bit here. So usually I either start out with the head or the body first. I think for this one we're just gonna start with the body because it's faster. So now using the reference, I'm just gonna quick and dirty follow along all the contours and all the lines here. His shoulder's a bit slack here, so I'm just gonna there and fill it out a little bit, and also add like these spiky lines to simulate or emulate fur. And that on its own is something that takes a lot of practice to get right. Like if you make the spikes in just one line, it kind of looks like Sonic the Hedgehog. But like if you try to make these little strands of fur, eventually with enough practice you'll understand like how like fur flows in a certain direction. Like if we look at I'm going to look at Fox Animal, because if I type in Fox it would show me Fox News and stuff. So you can sort of see like how the neck fur here is like an explosion, sort of, and how here it flows downward, and same here. So if you if you start out drawing fur and you just draw it like all over the place, it looks like he just fluffed up and just came out of came out of the shower after toweling off. So it's a bit all over the place. I keep wanting to learn how to draw, but I never put in the time. Yeah, the time is definitely the biggest issue when it comes to drawing, because the learning gap is just so high. Like because when you start out and you know nothing about drawing, it's really tough to, just sort of slowly move your way up and practice, because there's just so much to learn. There's faces, anatomy, poses, there's coloring, shading, all these different things that you sort of have to keep in mind, and you can easily get lost. But if you missed it last time, I can definitely recommend this website here. Just gonna put this in this chat, because that's a really good starting point with a lot of articles, a lot of lessons, and it's all completely free. And like it has applying construction to animals. There we go. Like how to get started. And I would always use it as a tool, not like as a strict set of rules, because uh, in these tutorials there are certain things that you probably think are a bit like overdone, or maybe too aggressively worded or something. I would always only try to follow the advice that you deem like sensible, or that makes sense to you, because that was the case for me for a long time, where I felt a lot of tutorials were very pushy and very like trying to force their way on others. And some artists really are like that, where they just go like, if you don't do it the way I do, you're not a real artist. uh, which is of course bullshit, because they cannot put themselves in the shoes of somebody starting out anymore. Because and I have to admit, it gets harder the more experience you gain, because at some point you just go like, okay, you draw it like this, and then you cannot imagine somebody else not understanding what you mean. So I can sort of understand how this elitism, so
Elitism.
elitism,
Elitism?
elitism,
Elitism.
you know what I mean.
Elitism.
Where this kind of like fake superiority, and yeah, replace one difficult to pronounce word with another one.
That's a good job.
That's a good job. But where this kind of mindset comes from, where they go like, okay, you have to do it like this, just because they cannot imagine themselves to do it in any other way anymore. So I would always, just keep a level head and try it on your own if you think you have a different way. Gonna give him a little claws because he's a wolf and he cannot retract them. Poor wolf. And because the most important part is always that you have fun. And if you enjoy what you're doing, then who's anyone to tell you different, right? Van Gogh was not a real artist because he didn't draw furries. Ah, poor Van Gogh.
That's for many people, though.
Yeah.
Did Michelangelo ever draw furries?
Let's find out. Was Michelangelo a furry? Michelangelo is one of the Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles, so yeah, he was a furry.
That would make it escape.
Case and point. Oh, now you're being elitist.
And gatekeeping.
Yes, don't gatekeep. Never gatekeep. Yeah. In terms of learning to draw, I think it's best to start out simple. So if you don't know anything, just don't dive into this whole thing like face first, like I did. Like it's possible, but you need a lot of time and like resilience against frustration, because it's easy to get frustrated. So I'm just gonna give him a nice torso here, not a six-pack, because for once I don't want to overdo it with the muscles. I already draw enough muscles as it is.
Ugh.
Don't ugh, Azir. Because I want to keep it simple and move the whole thing along, more quickly. And also no dick this time. But we're gonna give him a little bit of fluff. There we go. So it's not completely neutered. So it's just hidden. It's hidden beneath some nice fluffy fur. But yeah, the thing is with people wanting to teach other people how to do art is oftentimes, at least I've heard that from people who peeked into Facebook groups and stuff. Oftentimes there are these people that just assume you want to be the next Van Gogh, you want to be the next Michelangelo or something, and they sort of forget that some people just want to draw stuff for fun, just get a little bit better at it, and they don't want to make a living out of it, or they don't want to do anything crazy with it. They just want to have a fun hobby and go along for the ride and see how it goes. And so they sometimes misunderstand that not everybody wants criticism, not everyone is looking for criticism. And so when somebody posts something that looks like they're inexperienced, they just immediately jump on that and they go, okay, you should change that and change that, and they just completely run them over with criticism and comments and negativity, which is all completely useless. Because if you go like, hey, I drew something cute, what do you guys think? Not everybody wants to have like a 10-page essay of why that thing you just sunk 5 hours into sucks, right? So that's why I always, I try to keep away from giving any sort of criticism or like feedback to people when they ask me to, because I just don't want to crush anyone's spirits, and if you're happy with something you drew, no matter how bad it is, if you drew something and you're happy with it, that's fine. That's you'll reach the goal there. Is it really criticism at what point? Sounds like salt to me. Yeah, the thing is, people will always, and okay, I didn't want to go into the whole like the whole subject of criticism, but I
Too
guess
late.
we kind of slid into that one. The problem is people will always like fall back to this argument going like, well, it's just criticism. I'm just criticizing you. I'm just trying to help you get better. That's always like their blanket excuse for anything. And with criticism, it's important knowing from whom to take it. Because like my mantra is that when somebody wants to say something that you listen to, they at least need to have the decency to be nice about it. Like you can you give criticism and not be an asshole. It's not mutually exclusive. So I guess the feet look a bit weird here. I'm gonna change the line a bit more. So if that's why like giving good criticism is an art in itself, in and of itself. Like there's this shit sandwich that is kind of like a term for how to deal proper criticism. So it's like you start out complimenting the other guy, and then you criticize and you say what you want to say, and then you finish with another compliment. So it's kind of like neatly wrapped into between like two compliments. So it kind of softens the blow, and people are more likely to not take it in any wrong way. Which is kind of like a good point to make in my opinion, because as I said, nobody wants to hear how they suck and how everything they've done is complete garbage. Frida Kahlo saw drew herself as a deer. Okay, that I have to look that one up. The Wounded Deer. Oh my god, it looks like from a Netflix show.
Okay.
That's somebody's kink.
It pretty much is. You see that stuff on Fur Affinity.
uh, shoot me with your bow, you magnificent hunter.
Why are you sounding like John Oliver?
Yeah, I kind of fucked up the pause here, so. So yeah, with criticism, I have a whole thing that I could go on, because criticism is just such a huge issue. And, there are these people that have never tried drawing anything in their whole life, and they just go around, shitting over so many people's artwork on a daily basis, and just they have no filter whatsoever, no empathy for anybody. And it just really hurts me to think about how a beginner artist, gets discouraged and like stops drawing because they received, a mean comment online or something. Because that's not what drawing should be about, right? Sure, there are bad artists out there, plenty of them, but like, who am I to tell them that they're bad artists? Like, it's not my place to say something like that. And if you want to criticize somebody, you criticize them with a valid point of criticism, and you don't insult them, or just try to make them stop what they're doing. Okay, so that looks a little better. Yeah, the pause is still sometimes an issue for me. So it was really interesting when people started commenting the way I draw pause and like complimenting it, because for me, like, people probably know this by now, I'm not that big into paws. I don't like. It's not that I don't like paws.
No.
It's just they're like a very neutral thing for me. Like, they are part of a character. They exist, and I can occasionally get into some paw themed pictures, but that's pretty much about it. But the way I see it, I just want to draw them well, because they're a part of the body that is also important to get right. So it's always cute when people say, "Oh, you draw the best paws." It's like, okay, really? Okay, thanks, I guess. I'm a bad artist. Oh, everybody is a bad artist. Everybody says about themselves that they're bad artists. You can see me struggling now. Take care, Daniel. Thanks for joining in. Good night. I hope I didn't miss him. Hooves, yeah, hooves are actually much simpler to draw than paws, because they always have like the very same basic shape, and you don't need to worry about toes and stuff like that. But so are horses. Horses are more easy to draw for me. Maybe I should draw a horse sometime and show you guys that. Because there is also let me show this. I think I'm not sure if I showed this last time. Uh, what? Damn it! Wait, Reynard. I always forget what it's called. There we go. Horse head. There we go. And there we go. We have a horse head, and the hooves kind of look weird. I think there's also a centaur body that I have, but yeah, you can also turn it into a horse real quick. I'm flustering because of nervous laughter. Yeah, true. But that's the thing is, I'm not used to people watching me draw, so
Well, that's not all true.
yeah, but it's not something I do regularly.
I've been watching you before.
Yeah, but not the entire time.
Okay, maybe not.
So I think this arm. So see, that's the thing. Okay, I made this arm a little bigger, so I need to also change that a little bit. But I think the fluster, being flustered, comes from me trying to focus on two different things at the same time. So that's a bit unusual for me, but it happened in the past, and I enjoyed it. So thanks everybody, by the way, for making these streams so enjoyable, from Azure and for me.
Yes.
Because when I started out, I had no idea if this would be something I'd be doing for more than like once or twice. Okay, so I'm just gonna call this wolf, gonna save this here. Hopefully I'll find it again later. What, modeling doesn't count? What is Lakota referring to? Oh, because
Oh, right. Getting you all frustrated because I model probably. We can do
oh,
that
right.
next week, I think. Me being a live model for you.
Oh, yeah. Now I remember. So, okay. Now for the head. This is like your typical wolf head, and I talked about that once before, that some artists will tell you that you should use, photos as references for, um, for learning how to draw certain animal species. And there's a lot of merit to that. And I think that's a good advice if you already know what you're doing. When you're a, just a bare bones beginner that doesn't know anything about drawing, then I think this is a tall order to sort of have the assignment to take something that is realistic and then in your head try to adapt that to your drawing style and make that work, because depending on how much depending on the photo and how much you can see on the photo, you can get very different head shapes, body shapes, and just all sorts of things that makes it very hard to get a clear image of what everything is going to look like. So what some people will do instead in when they're starting out is like trace over the head. So like, okay, I'm gonna go real rough right here, just because I want to show something. So this is like how it looks in real life now, and you can see all the different details and how everything is put together and all looks nice and cute. And if we're gonna translate that into a drawing, eventually it's gonna look really weird and really strange. So if I just take this away, then of course it looks, yeah, it can you can see kind of the shape, but it doesn't really look like something you can work with, because now you have to imagine, like, okay, if we're going to turn this into an anthropomorphic character, like where does the head where does the neck attach to the head, and where do the shoulders come in, and then like you have this fur that's like excessive over here, so how do you deal with that? So that is probably not the way to go, at least not for me. And instead, what I would advise people to do is to go to E621 or E926 if you don't want to see porn, and just look at other furry artworks of the species that you want to draw, and use different artists, use different styles, and then you sort of like get a feeling for what you like to see, like what you enjoy seeing, or what you think is um, pleasant to look at. And from that, you sort of move into a direction where you decide how your style is going to be. And I think that's a really important thing to do, because finding your own style takes a lot of time and takes a lot of soul searching, I guess, if you want to be esoteric. But like I talked about that before, where you go like, okay, maybe you really like the way the eyes are drawn here, so you kind of adapt that into your art style, and then you go like, okay, I like the muzzle shape here, this sort of angular, very hard edges. Ooh, that's nice. um or this one is just very realistic, maybe you like that. Or this one, this is very B stars, and so on. And that's a better way of trying to figure out, you know, where you want to go and what you want to what you want your artworks to look like. I've tried to draw some horses for fun. Didn't look so easy for me. Yeah, I know it's tough to sort of get started, and you know, I talked about Apple Face was the artist. Isn't that him? No, it's not. Apple Face does really good horses. You know, if you look at that or that one, because his style is very clean and crisp. So you know, if you open that up and try to follow along the same lines and sort of learn how the body and the head is attached to the body, and you know the curves and the muscle shape, uh, then you can sort of like learn from that and work with that in creating your own style, so to speak. It's an template. As you got all your answers crawling on their hands and knees, yeah. Um, some like bits and pieces that you like from various places. That's kind of what I would try to do. Yeah, exactly. So, okay, now we're gonna start out with the head. Okay. What I find interesting is that already, even though these are all wolves, you can see a difference in the ear shape. You know how the ears are positioned. Of course, that's not a wolf. So you know, even there, you can see very different ways of drawing that because you know, as you see in this picture, these ears are facing forward, whereas these are facing to the side, and so are these. But we're gonna stick with that what we have in the reference here. I'm just gonna draw these real quick. Usually I don't start out with the ears. I'm not sure why I do now. Okay, never mind. Let's just start out properly like we did before. I kind of got ahead of myself there. Sorry. So, we're gonna start with the eyes because the eyes are the most important part. You know, if you have a great looking character with great looking shading and so on, it's not gonna work out if he has derpy eyes. And believe me, I've been down that road before where I unsuspectingly drew derpy eyes and didn't realize it until it was too late, and I had to suffer for that. So there we go. Okay, so start with the eyes. So you can already see like the eye is actually here, but you know because I figure it would look strange, so I just used this line to separate you know this part of the muzzle from the rest of the face, so to give it a little bit of perspective. And so now we're gonna continue with the muzzle. So it's quite similar to like um, the tiger head I drew last time. I'm gonna give it a little bend here just to you know make it look more interesting. Then we're gonna go. Sorry, I just burped a little. I apologize.
Aww.
I don't know if that even came across the microphone, but I apologize.
I don't think so.
Okay. And then we're gonna draw the nose here. There we go. So this is a little less draw long like last time, but you know I hope it's still a little bit helpful to people. So all right, the muzzle. There we go. I'm gonna give him a nice smile here because he's waving. He's giving us thumbs up. There we go. And I'm not sure if I want to do an open mouth smile, but no, I'm not going to do an open mouth smile. I'm going to make his teeth show. There we go. Toothy smile. This probably look weird, but this is like the basic step where you just try to construct the head shape, and then once that's set up, once everything is sort of established, then you kind of move on and you know build on top of that. So okay, now gonna do this line right here. Let me just take a quick look at what. So yeah, the cheek fluff. It's all very differently done. in various styles. But yeah, I think this one is like this. Go. Connect that to the rest of the muzzle. And give him some nice eyebrows. There we go. And you can already see how it's differing from the base model, because I only, as I said, I only use it as a reference, and that is all depending on how much you want to stick to that. Like if you want to go really realistic, then of course the model is probably a good way to keep that sort of style to it. But again, that's all your choice. Once you really have this whole mindset going of like what you want to draw, you'll start making all these choices that you were too scared before. At least that's how it was for me. I think the ears are a bit too big. Oh, I didn't mean to open Firefox. There we go. Yeah, the ears are too big, and they also need to be a bit rounder. Because that's what a lot of our teachers prey upon. It's like that you don't have the authority or the bravery yet about drawing something the way you want, so they often push their style upon you, going like, okay, you have to do this that way, otherwise you're doing it wrong. And then once you actually get started and start making your own decision, you go like, wait, I can draw this any way I want. That's bullshit. Why did they tell me that? Never let anybody tell you how to draw something. Okay, that's actually not bad. So now I'm going to show you something that a lot of artists do, is they flip the picture around to sort of spot differences. Flip by 180 degrees horizontally. And so yeah, that's when you see stuff like this ear is way too far over here. So we're going to bring it over here. And then erase the part that's overlapping. And yeah, I think that looks better. So now the head is, of course, too small, but we're going to fix that real quick. So tilt a little bit to make it a bit more realistic, I guess. Then resize it a little bit. There we go. Scale it a bit down. Some artists do draw the head of the character like on top of it. I always sort of like drawing it with the neck a little bent, like you have. Okay, let's just show this real quick. Like for instance, if that's the shoulder and the torso, and then the neck is sort of like going like this, and then here you have the head. So that's how I always imagined anthropomorphic characters to look like. Because I find it weird if like the head is attached, like this, and then you have like this weird fur that goes, up here. But that's again, that's just personal preference, and that's how I just decided to draw it. So okay, just gonna give him a little bit more neck fluff here. Okay. All right, I think the head could be a little bit bigger still. Yeah, that's not bad. Just lines on paper. I can put lines on paper too. That was a great bit in the House Pets comic where the one character has an art piece commissioned, and the artist draws it, and it goes like, okay, that's $10, and then the other guy goes like, what, $10? It's just lines on paper. I draw lines on paper too. I think I resonated very strongly with that
Oh
sentiment.
boy.
I think a lot of artists can get behind that sort of mentality that they've been probably exposed to at one point or another. Thankfully, furries are really supportive. That's one thing that's so great about being a furry artist. Like you don't get these assholes that talk about how expensive you are and try to get something for free. Like, of course, if your prices are very high, you will have people talking, but again, it's the exception, not the majority.
That's good.
And if anybody ever tells you, you should lower your prices, then tell them to fuck off.
I was about to say go fuck themselves.
Yeah, because if nobody's buying your artwork, then you can lower your prices, but not because somebody says, "Oh, my mom won't let me have a credit card, so I can't buy your artwork." Okay, this I just somehow made it worse now. Uh, well, that's their problem. Okay, sometimes trying to make everything better just makes it worse, but we can salvage this. I thank Azure for not yelling ruined into the chat right now.
That's old. I usually yell rude when you draw the balls too small.
I think we should probably bring the cheek fluff over here a little bit closer to the face, maybe, to make the neck a little bit more stand out. But I think it's good to see when you can see me struggle, because you realize that I'm also not perfect, and I'm just a human being with faults and errors. So why do you yell at me, Azure?
What? I'm not. What?
Just kidding. I'm sorry. I think it's important to realize that every artist started somewhere, and that every artist, has their own history of failing and drawing bad art. And some artists you cannot look at their older work. Some artists cannot look at their current work. Can stand to look at it. Oh, thank you so much, Ragged Panther, for the subscription. Furry artists always undercharge for their talent and time. That's the only mistake furry artists tend to make. That's true. Sadly, I've done that before as well. But the issue with putting prices on your or price tags on your own art is that you feel that there's so much pressure about being affordable and not being too expensive that you kind of lose this neutrality on it, and you kind of figure, okay, if I charge too much, nobody's gonna buy my art. And the only way to really gauge how well you're doing is by setting the prices and see what happens. There's no real I can try this and see what works out, and then I can change it, because there's just so much that goes into doing commissions that you cannot be very flexible. Like if you do, let's say, 5 commissions like I do, or 6 commissions like I do, um, then you have to keep the prices firm at least for these 6 commissions, right? And these 6 commissions can drain the life force out of you, because they can be very, very demanding, and you don't want to disappoint your commissioners. So you're putting in a lot of work, and you realize that it's not paying enough, but you grit your teeth and you make it through it. And then you go like, okay, I have to raise my prices, and then you raise them a little bit, and that happens again where you feel like you've been underpaid. And so over time you just have to build up the courage to demand prices that feel like they're worth it. But there's nobody telling you, like objectively telling you, okay, your art is worth X amount of dollars or X amount of euros. And if you ask people what would you pay for for my art, they're always gonna lowball you, like for obvious reasons. I think the tail's a bit too high. Yeah, that's better. Because they don't want to pay too much money, and like who can blame them? If you were to ask somebody how high should the gas prices be, then they're going to be like $100 per gallon. No, they're going to be like as cheap as I can afford it. I think it's because Furry price sharing art so much, and so people feel pressure to help the community by making their art easier to buy. Yeah, that's also a thing, really. You want to make your art, as I said, affordable, and you want to make it so that a lot of people can afford a commission. Or yeah, I should probably change the like here because it looks a little too thin. And also, like you sort of understand how not everybody has hundreds of dollars available each month just to blow on furry art. And especially at conventions, I think it's crazy like how cheap some really popular artists sketches are and stuff. What you advise is that you believe your art is worth $200 for one piece, but not everyone has that kind of money. Plus, it also depends on whether you only do one type of commission, headshot, bust, half body, or full body, and whether or not you do sketches, flat colors, flat shading, or full shading. Yeah, exactly. Is that true? It's that a custom commission art is a luxury. That's true. Yeah. So that's pricing is a whole issue that even I haven't figured out at this point. And I just got to say that YCH auctions have really helped me just gaining confidence in what my art is worth, because these explode regularly, and I'm always stunned by how high they go and how quickly they raise their high. Because I work a lot on these and try to make each one unique and interesting. And so when I'm not fully convinced with the picture, I usually scrap it, and sometimes I kind of grit my teeth and go like, okay, I already finished it this way. It's gonna be a cheap YCH or like a lower price YCH, and I'm fine with that. I'm just gonna go ahead, and then like it shatters all my expectations and just gets huge. So yeah, ours are already very generous that they share our publicly with so many of us to enjoy. Yeah, that's a sentiment I'm not 100% on board with. Like, I understand that, you know, making your art available for others to enjoy is something that, takes courage and takes, certain, uh, just a certain type of like how willing you are to expose yourself to criticism. Um, but at the same time, I think it doesn't excuse anybody or give them a blanket excuse to do everything the way they want, and just like demand outrageous prices. And like at the slightest amount of drama or criticism they got, I'm gonna delete my entire gallery. And then people like are afraid that they're gonna leave, like they come back and they do the same thing again, and then people are just too afraid to tell them anything because they're worried they're gonna delete everything. So I think if you post your art online, certainly that's something to be respected, but at the same time I don't think you should be excused anything you do.
Right, right.
Oh, thank you so much, Azure. So now that we finished the basic body, we're gonna add the pupils here and give him some more personality.
Personality.
I was thinking it's personality. There we go. So yeah, I think that looks good. Very simple. That could be like the next mascot for a small furry convention or something.
Aw, he's cute.
Maybe we should cover him up because otherwise people Twitch might think he's naked. No, I'm kidding. So I'm gonna make a backup because sometimes Photoshop crashes, and I've already lost I already lost enough work these recent weeks. I accidentally deleted a studio file that was like 8 hours of work. I accidentally saved over it and deleted all of it, and yeah, that wasn't fun.
So
It smiles a little like a spark, which is my favorite expression. I can understand why. I also like that a lot. Yeah, I lost an entire day's work basically because I saved over a file and didn't realize it until it was too late. Live and learn. Live and learn. But then again, I think every program should have an autosave function so you can always get stuff back. Whereas Nelius, was it you who pointed out with the time machine feature? Or who? No, I think that was Fluke. Fluke pointed that out to me. He said, "Well, Mac has this time machine feature where you can actually go back and but I'm not on a Mac, so that doesn't help me." Just sharing your art doesn't welcome negative criticism. Same with commissions. The person paying for the commission should tell the artist that they want in detail, what they want in detail, and the artist should, at the very least, show the buyer a sketch before payment to see if something needs to be changed or if the piece is good. That is very well said, Leon Sharpfang, and I absolutely agree with that. I think that if you pay a three-digit amount for a commission, then the artist at least should show you the sketch and ask what you want changed, and should also do that. And uh, on the other hand, of course, the commissioner needs to be reasonable about it and not constantly demand new changes because they can get very exhausting for the artist as well. So it's all a matter of like mutual respect. But yeah, I think a lot of artists are getting away with behavior that I don't find acceptable. And the way I do it, for those of you who have commissioned me in the past know that, is you send me your description, I'll draw the basic sketch, and then I send it to you, and then you can give feedback and tell me what you like about it and what you want changed. After that, I change it, I send it back to you, and only once you're satisfied, I go like, okay, now please transfer the money or give me your PayPal address so I can send the invoice. And then you pay, and then I start with the coloring. I color in the entire picture. I send it to you a third time so you can check if the coloring is all right. And if you sign off on that and go like, okay, that all looks good, then I finish the picture, and then you get sent the final one, the final file. So,
which is very reasonable.
Yeah, I think so too, because this is the way I would want my commission process to be handled. If I was in the shoes of a commissioner, and I understand that there are reservations that artists have, especially about being ripped off, because they go like, "Well, I take the money up front, so they can't scam me out of it," which is a fear I can relate to and I can understand. But the way I do it, if somebody were to scam me, they're just gonna end up with the basic sketch, and that's just I don't think that's worth trying to scam me really. When you want to get a picture from me, you probably want the whole thing and not just a sketch.
I heard some artists also do that like you do it, but they watermark their sketches.
Yeah, exactly. That's also a way to do it. Watermarking is also a good idea. Okay, so now we're going to go on to the coloring, and there are different ways to go about uh, doing the coloring and the method uh, of getting that started. The way I do it is I create a separate layer. Basically, oh yeah, that's something maybe I should have mentioned, like the way layers work. I'm not sure if everybody is aware. I think the forearm is a bit too thin here. I just noticed that. Let me just fix that real quick. Um, so very basically for digital drawing, uh, a layer is like an empty sheet of paper that is invisible. So if I draw a circle on this layer and I draw a cross on this layer, then I can not only hide either of these. When I use an eraser, it only ever erases what is on one layer and doesn't touch the other. So that is very helpful, and it's like the very basics of digital drawing and why it's so easy and relaxing to do, because you can always create another layer, try something out. If it doesn't work, the stuff that's underneath isn't touched on. And yeah, I think that's better. Looks a bit more three-dimensional. Okay, so the way I do the coloring is I use the magic wand, which should select everything outside the character if there are no holes in the line art, and there are a few, so I need to go in and fix them real quick and see where they are. This can always be a little bit tedious, but it's definitely worth it in the long run. Maybe it's already enough. No, it's not. Or maybe, well, maybe somewhere over here. There it is. Let's go down to the legs, the feet. Bet some people are enjoying this view right here. And that's fine with me. Okay, got everything on the tail. All right, there we go. Ah, damn it. Still something missing. What is it? This one's fine. This one's fine. This one isn't fine. Oh, right, there. Overlook that one. Now it's fine. Okay. Now it's good. All right, all right, all right. So I'm gonna select everything except for the character, and then I'm gonna, because the selection is very harsh now. For instance, if I were to fill in the layer underneath of the color, you could see that it's kind of like over the edge in some places, and yeah, so I want to fix that. So what I use is the select modifier and expand the selection by, let's say, 2 pixels. So it's a bit more underneath the lines. And then I'm gonna make a layer mask, which and use reveal selection. Oh no, wait, this was wrong. A layer mask is basically where I tell the layer what part of it are visible and what not. So everything that's red right now is gonna be invisible. So with that out of the way, I can use just a simple color layer, and I can color in the basics of the wolf without touching anything outside of them. I just want to say, I'm not honest. I just use this mysterious thing called common sense. Yeah, sadly, that's a rare commodity these days. Sometimes, at least, because yeah, it's interesting. I haven't really gotten a lot of commissions, especially in recent past, like that I bought myself. But it's interesting sometimes how dismissive artists can be. Okay, so before I move on and talk about that, so I'm just gonna say what I'm gonna do now. So we have the basic color layer, and now I'm gonna make a layer for all the little details and start coloring them in one by one. Just need a different brush for that. Oh, thank you so much for the subscription, Dart Daru. Yeah, one issue that I have with some artists, which I can sort of understand, but at the same time, it's a bit of a pickle, is the whole thing of dismissiveness towards, or a dismissive nature towards the commissioner, where for the artist it's just a means to an end, a means to get more money to do commissions. And so like, you would approach them and ask them about if they draw a certain thing, or how they go about doing something, and they just don't respond to you, and just like ignore the message and do the commission, like it's just another day at the office for them. And so I always try to have like good relations with commissioners and chat with them a bit. I mean, not everybody has to be friends with their commissioners. That's not what I'm saying, but you should at least have the decency to treat them with respect and just talk to them if they have an issue, about their commission at least. I should stretch. Yes, I will stretch. Thank you, Nalius. So already, once the eyes and the nose and the mouth are colored, and this already looks so much better. Thank you, Dr. Ru. I just drank something. Oh, guys, you're keeping such good care of me. You're taking such good care of me.
You've got fans who really care about you. That's great.
But I should also maybe come up with point rewards that are a bit more interesting than just the stretch and the hydrate one.
Yeah.
I need the potty break, isn't it? This right? Yeah. No worries about that. I just went to the bathroom before I started the stream, so
good boy.
I'm still good for now. So yeah, if an artist doesn't even care about doing revisions and just like sends you the final image, that's kind of a really dickish thing to do, in my opinion. And I know a lot of artists, like a lot of artists that do that, or take the money up front. My buddy Sirius has had some really bad experiences with artists in the past, and that always makes me so mad because I always try to do good work and try to be respectful and try to be efficient, and try not to be an asshole. Sometimes I fail, but for the most part, I think I'm doing good. So when an artist is just like a complete dickhead and doesn't do any sort of like revisions, or just just takes the money and runs and doesn't deliver anything, or doesn't speak to the commissioner for months and then does voice ages and other commissions on the side, that's just something I really don't like. Bit of humanity in this service goes a long way. I get what you're saying. Yeah, exactly. Like, it's not as if you're working at the airport and always have to be courteous, always have to be friendly to anybody, and that's something that can really crush your spirits. So you don't have to be like that, but just people are throwing money at you to draw for them. That's a really nice job and a really nice thing to do for a living or just as a hobby. So you should appreciate that. Okay. All right. So let me see what we can do in terms of coloring. I mean, the gray wolf is of course the go-to color scheme. Let's just go order score. Of course, the most stepped on Lego in the world. Oh god, this is a rabbit hole. I think I've seen that one.
Someone order a big sausage pizza?
Oh no.
I did, but I don't have any money.
Why the fuck did you order a pizza? Someone order a big sausage pizza?
I did, but I don't have any money.
The bass drop.
Why the fuck did you order a pizza?
Oh, oh, that's so cute. Okay, I should probably type in minus animated. All right, no thoughts, head empty. Yeah, I know how that feels. So many meme pictures in here. Of course, they get upvoted because if it's not porn, then it's memes.
Oh god.
This is also really cute. Oh, Haru.
Oh,
I'm thinking of getting a commission. I look at artists that I like and try to see their prices. That way I can see if I'm able to get one or not. I always speak nice to them because I'm a fan. Imagine meeting a celebrity that you're a big fan and would like to talk to them nicely and like a human being, or would you? Imagine meeting a celebrity that you are a big fan of. Would you talk to them nicely and like a human being, or would you be rude? Yeah, exactly. But same with meeting celebrities. Some of them are just rude in real life, and yeah, never meet your heroes.
exactly.
Let me just, hmm, trying to figure out what kind of color I go with. But yes, it's same for artists as well as for commissioners. Both should be nice, and then we won't have any issues. And I've definitely come across commissioners who've been very respectful to the point that I kind of feel bad when I'm really asking them what they should what they want changed in the artwork, and they go like, no, everything is perfect, because it makes me feel like they're just out of respect or out of fear that I would cancel the commission. They're not telling me the truth. Of course, some people are just easily pleased, and that's okay. But I always feel like I should at least get them to mention something that I should change or add or something, because I feel that some people just are very worried about having their commissions dropped or something, or maybe the artist even talking bad about them on social media, because that has happened as well. And so I think that everybody has the right to complain about an artist drawing something wrong, or not listening to or not reading the commissioner's description. And if they can't deal with that, then they shouldn't do commissions. That's just my opinion. Artist rule: don't be a dick, draw them. Yeah.
That's a good rule.
That's a very good rule, Lakota. So yeah, have you guys ever experienced like an artist doing bad work, or just not drawing something the way you wanted them to draw something, and you ended up with a subpar image that you sort of paid a lot of money for? Good to hear the sentiment is the same from the other side. I always feel a bit awkward when I comment back, nope, nothing to change. Yeah, it's fine if you genuinely don't have anything that you want changed. But whenever somebody says that to me, I always go like, really? Are you sure? If you want something to want me to add something, just let me know. Unpopular people are just mean and rude, but the majority aren't rude. That's true. It all comes down to attitude, body language, vocal tone, facial expression. Oh, you just had this experience, Dr. Ru. I'm so sorry. Who was the artist?
That sucks.
It was Dreamer Nightmare. Oh no.
No. But yeah, no name dropping.
No name dropping. In addition to not being rude, I think calling people out online is just bad manners, especially when an artist does it, because they usually have the larger following.
Oh yeah.
So like, if you ever see an artist really shit talking commissioners, like even anonymously on social media, stay away from them, because that is just a character trait that I find very, very questionable. Artists refused to draw my stripes according to my ref sheet because they were too much. Oh, wow, that's pretty awful. I think I have safer work mode enabled. Yes, I do, thankfully. Okay, so how do we get to what, Nalius Oxfera, right? No. Nalius, what is your FA?
Oh god, I always forget that.
Oh wait, never mind. Noxfera, just Noxfera. There we go. Right. Why won't the ref sheet load? Download?
Because it's SFW probably.
No, it's yeah. That's not too much. What the hell? That's the regular amount of stripes. I've been lucky so far. I did not happen Ragath Panther. That's good for you. This is handsome Charlie. Looks kind of like my persona. True. Fine, add 10 inches if you insist.
Yeah.
Not going to name and shame artist completed the piece and didn't send any work in progress or communications past payment. Oof, that's a tough one. I'm outed. Tigers are always too much. No, you're not outed. It's just your reference. There we go. By the way, there's not much outing going on if you have it on your public profile on FA.
Pretty much.
But yeah, let me know if you want me to blur this up on YouTube. And I can. I didn't want to make you uncomfortable. I hope I didn't. I'm serious. If this is too much, then
Yeah, he's blushing and enjoying it at the same time.
I hope so. I was doing that without thinking. Okay, you don't care. Good. That's good. But yeah, like bad artist practices are sadly more common than bad commissioner practices, I think. I mean, that's why Artist Beware was started after all. I think Artist Beware was first,
I
right?
thought Artist Beware was warning artists of bad commissioners, not the other way around.
Yeah, see, I was just confused because I think in my mind it was the other way around, but I think you're right. Sometimes a little imperfection would make the piece, and usually I trust an artist more than my own judgment, Dr. Rue. Dr. Rue, that is not a bad mindset to have, because sometimes you get a commissioner that wants something a very specific way, and in my mind I know that as an artist I kind of have more experience in that area, that I know it would work better in a different way. But I never tell people that because I feel that's kind of bending the rules a bit, to fit my own preferences. So if somebody wants something done a specific way, then it's not my place to say no to that. But yeah, sometimes I think it's a good idea to give the artist some leeway, or maybe ask them what they think is a good idea. But again, coming back to what we said earlier, some artists are just not interested in even interacting to such a degree, and so they want just to have your description, and they want to get started with a drawing and not worry about having to think about anything else. So they will not even entertain the possibility. They go like, okay, well, get back to me when you've got it figured out. Until then, I have other commissioners, and I've done that in the past as well. But it was like somebody who just didn't have wait, this is wrong, any idea whatsoever. It was like many years ago where he was like, yeah, I'm not sure what I want. Maybe we can throw out some ideas around. And I was like, oh,
That can be annoying too.
yeah, I like, you should at least have a general sense of what you want before you ask me. I don't like going into detail about the artist's use their strength. That's a good thing to do, but like for me, I always prefer it when people are more specific, at least about the things they like and dislike, because I worry very much about delivering a picture that the commissioner is not 100% happy with. That's something that keeps me awake at night. So if somebody goes like, oh, just wing it, just draw it in any way you want.
Yeah, that doesn't fly with you.
Yeah, I'm not. You should at least give me some hints, or maybe like some references, anything, because
use your artistic freedom.
Yeah, I use my own artistic freedom for my personal pictures. I don't necessarily want to use it when somebody pays me a large sum of money to get something drawn the way they want, right? So. But I got better with that. I actually had the recent commissions had some people telling me, okay, just do it the way you think is best, and then I was like, okay, I'm gonna try it. But yeah, there's no real answer like how to go about doing that. I guess it's all really something that you kind of have to figure out for yourself. In a question about if you should be more detailed, I think it's always better to give a clear idea of what you want if you have something that's really important, because if you miss mentioning something and the artist actually does something wrong, then you cannot revert back to that. So especially like artists not artists character details are something that you should always be very specific about. Like for me, of course, for my own persona, it's the facial scars. Oh, I got a note. I think it's from Elsong. Wait, there's my ref sheet. Clean. The facial scars, I have them mentioned in text here, along with the scarred ear, because so many people have forgotten to draw these. Funnily enough, I myself have forgotten to draw these on occasion as well, as you called me out on that once. Which you rightfully did so, because yeah.
You should know your own character.
Yeah, I should know my own character. Nailers Affair says, "Gah, that's my flaw. I overuse artistic freedom. Need to do better about coming up with a tangible idea." Well, some artists work really well with that, and they produce very nice pictures. But yeah, it depends. It really depends. Called me out. He's a general idea and examples posted and not too fast. Yeah, that's on the commissioner. So what got you drawn into Bara? I guess it's just aesthetic I always liked.
Because they look the best.
I always liked muscular furry characters, and so over time, with the help of Azir and some insistent nagging to make everything everything bigger.
Yes, I don't know if you've ever noticed that if you go back to Knight's pictures before 2016 and then look at Knight's pictures after 2016, you'll notice that his balls in general get slightly bigger.
As well as the
time.
muscles, yeah.
And you're welcome.
Yes. He gave me the confidence to go ahead and draw something more out there, because I was always worried about it being too much, and it kind of comes from the mindset of being active in a German furry forum where people were very prude about that sort of thing, going like, "Oh, I don't like it when the genitals are too big," and it's always ridiculous. Like people would always be so quick, not just to judge, but like to shit talk on people like that. It's just like, oh, whoever's into war must have a screw loose or something like that. And so if you read that on a daily, weekly basis, you just sort of internalize that thought process and go like, okay, I don't want to be called out because I draw something like that. And then it sort of like simmers in the back of your mind whenever you work on something. But yeah, Azura helped me overcome that, and I'm thankful for that. I really am.
Again, you're welcome.
Missed details different times. But yeah, it's just what I like to draw. There's no real like reason. But yeah, I think we're pretty good. We're almost done. I think we're done with the coloring. I think it looks nice. All right, so now we're gonna start with the shading. Yeah, sometimes we really need to turn off this little voice in our head that sort of takes the role of what other people might say or have said. So with the shading, what I always start out with is I add a little hue layer, or you can just add a white layer. That's okay as well. And something I also do is I use a hue layer to make the background a little darker, because it's more easy to see. Because when you do the shading, it's better to work on a white plain color than to have the actual character, just because it makes things easier to see. So I already have like a drawing script. I'm gonna do it by hand to show people what I'm doing. So I'm gonna start with shading 1, and I use a dark purple, dark bluish purple hue tone for shading, and then I fill the entire layer with it. And I set the fill method to multiply, or the blending mode. and the fill to something like 60. That's a good number. And the thing with shading is that there's really no good tutorial on it, how to go about shading. What I can show you real quick is what shading very basically is. So, all right, just make this gray here. Like the magic of shading is basically taking something like a white circle, and then we're gonna add some depth to that, and let me just reverse that. So, not wait, that wasn't good. There we go. And erase that a little bit here. Not too much. So, and now we tricked our minds into thinking that this is actually a ball, you know, and that's basically what the magic of shading can do to a picture if you use it well. But how do you decide, you know, where the shadows are and where the shading is, and where the light comes in? So very basically, you know, the process of shading is, you know, adding shadows and adding light to the picture to make it more realistic. And you know, the what I mentioned just now, to decide where the shadows are is really tough, and that studio can actually help you with that as well. You can already see in this render mode that we have you know, some darker and some lighter area, and also some highlights here. Oh wait, sorry, I missed some of the messages. Layout sharpening. That's why when it comes to kinks, whether RP or art, I really don't care. I don't judge because I'm not participating in it. So who am I to tell an adult, hey, they can't engage in this kink? Of course, I'm not talking about illegal kinks. That's true, exactly. Like as long as nobody's getting hurt, you know, why would you go about telling people not to enjoy something? Yeah. Yeah, is the ball big enough for a zero? I think it depends on what scale we're talking about.
It's not.
Of course not. But actually, that studio comes with the Nvidia Ira Render, which is very powerful. And you know, we can turn this one on. There we go. And you can see, you know, already the shadow and stuff like that, and it has some nice atmospheric glow to it as well. I hope this is not going to tank the stream performance. Draw a dome, and we can also like add a background to it, and then we can also change the lighting depending on what we want, you know. So we have a very dynamic options, and I can show you real quick what this can do in action for backgrounds, like if you want to draw a background. So we have like set bondage nightclub. We have different types of environments that I purchased. I guess the coffee shop is, yeah, that's a good idea. So I'm gonna start off with the texture shaded. I'm gonna load that in. I really hope this is not gonna like make my voice sound like a robot or something, because it can be very taxing on the computer. But we'll see. So this is the basic model.
This sound normal.
Yeah, okay, good. This is a basic like coffee shop model. You know, it looks all right. You know, the architecture looks okay. Not a whole lot going on. So if we change that to the filament render mode, you can see now it kind of looks like it's from a video game, except the shadows are missing. Yeah, but it looks a little bit more realistic. And now for the magic, I'm going to turn on Nvidia Ira, and it's going to take a bit to choose through that, and all of a sudden this looks almost photorealistic, you know, and it's crazy. You can even, like, depending on how strong your computer is, you can have almost like real-time updates for the render. Is that the same glaze launcher from your last stream? No, it's not. But yeah, so that's pretty insane, you know, that you have something that powerful as your at your disposal. All right, let me just get rid of these items again. Yeah, I should do a glazed donut shop again. So you can use that as reference for the shading as well. Because when I was starting to get start with doing shading, I couldn't find good tutorials on it. Like they were all, okay, try to erase the parts that you think have light on it. It's like, yeah, but how do I know what part has light on it and what doesn't? It's just try and error basically. So what I do now is that I select body parts that are like interconnected, basically the entire body except for the tail, because the arm and the tail overlapping here, and I don't want the shading to go over the area with the body on it and interfere with the tail. I'm gonna do that later, but for now let me just fix the selection, because the magic wand tool is pretty handy, but sometimes it like manages to miss some little pieces here and there, so you have to go in and change that yourself. Okay, now we're gonna get started with the shading. So usually I start out with the head, but I think for now we're gonna start out with the body. So just gonna go in here and use the eraser tool to erase the parts that they're gonna have light on it. And I'm not gonna use the reference from that studio for it, just because I want to show people how this is done and not completely follow along what the render says. That can lead to some very dynamic looking lighting and shadows. Like if you want to make it really realistic, then you can use the renderer. But if you want to do it just a little bit less realistic or cartoony, or you just want to do it the way you think is right, then of course you can always rely on yourself and draw it the way you want, which is always a good way to go about doing things in terms of drawing. All right. So this already looks pretty okay. Maybe have it a little bit more angular so it doesn't look like boobs. The worst part about drawing something and publishing it is when you realize you made a mistake, but it's already it's already uploaded, and then you like are kind of chewing your nails, hoping that nobody notices. And then when somebody notices, you just die a little bit inside. Sorry, Ezra, what did you say?
No, I just huffed some air.
Oh, okay. Here we are watching the stream of Night in the Starbucks store while Twink is asking him for breast milk. No, I mean breast milk. I mean breast milk. I mean breast milk. Fuck.
Yeah.
I should have done that meme. Maybe I can still do it. Maybe we could have like
another meme is in right now.
Yeah, I know the cover them up slut meme. Yeah, I kind of feel like I've done that already with the lactation picture, but maybe I can just edit that into the what was it called, the picture that's already the original one. Yeah, I looked up that meme yesterday. Just yeah, I mean it's pretty obvious what it's about, but I figured it's better to look it up and be sure. So gonna add a shadow here from the arm. Something that I've seen artists do, and I think what also helps, but I'm always too lazy to do that, is they put a little reminder for themselves there. So, oh right, because I'm invert section. So they put like an arrow up in the corner to sort of simulate or like to mark from which direction the light comes, which can be very helpful if you tend to forget. So I'm just gonna have it here. So we kind of go like, okay, the light comes from this direction. Then we have to adjust the shadow here because it should be more over here. And again, that is just something that really takes a lot of time and a lot of practice that you can either get from looking at other people's art or looking at actual photographs of people. I think there's a lot of resources on that online if you're willing to look it up. So just that. So this is a little bit more simple than usually, but I think it's very nice to show people just how the whole process looks like. Just turn into a comic where it starts out as the breast milk meme and somebody shouts and get your attention, turn you around, and the person shouts, "Are you telling you to cover up your pecs?" Also a good idea, yeah. Not bad. Sadly, this is again a lot of work. I still have a comic that I haven't finished yet that is begging me to continue working on it, and I will.
All right, we haven't seen a new page in a long time.
Yeah, since the beginning of the year. But yeah, I apologize for that, but I promise that it is not abandoned. I will continue. Oh wait, I'm completely messing up the shading right now. See, that's what I get for being distracted. No, I definitely will continue working on the comic. It's just. Oh, thank you so much. I'm glad you appreciate it. I do too. So the thing is with the comic that I've had good reasons to put it off. I have the commissions that I don't want to keep waiting forever, and then I got my new PC. I need to set everything up, and so that has everything just thrown back. And then of course I need to earn money and put out art at a regular pace. So I just need to find some time to sit down and continue working on it, and I just haven't had the energy or the time for it yet. But I will, and it will all work out. And it will be amazing. Because already I am really enjoying, oops, the whole process so far. I really love working on the comic, even though it's a lot of work. But I learned so much. I haven't learned anything like to that amount of new stuff for a long time. When I started doing the comic, I just realized how many new things I could suddenly do, or were suddenly appearing for the first time that I noticed them. And so I definitely want to continue doing that because the story is, I think, really fun for me to work on, and I'm glad that people like it as well. One does not simply cover up a tiger. Oh, the Kodak did a meme himself. Yeah, that's like the third line then in the comic. Where Knight is trying to put something on to cover up his pecs, and then he's clearly failing because his shirt is ripping, and then there sits Boromir going, "One does not simply cover up a tiger." And everybody will like, "What the hell?" Okay, just put that here. I think that is okay. Might not be the most realistic shading, but I think it gets the job done. All right. Oh, thank you so much, Leon Sharpbang. I have to say that you're one of the many artists that make me want to get into digital art. I'd love to learn. It's nowadays it's easier than ever to get into digital art because the programs are more affordable. Like new program like Krita is, I think, even free, and a lot of these programs sort of look and work in a similar fashion. where like the UI is very similar to use, and you have all the features that you need. It's not like you trying to make do with something like Photoshop Elements, which just like, I think lacks some very important features. And yeah, so you can get cheap drawing tablets as well. I talked about a lot of that in my first stream, which you can find on YouTube still as a recording, because I didn't want Netflix, Twitch, the other Netflix, the poor man's Netflix. I didn't want Twitch to delete the stream after 2 weeks because I thought it was very fun and possibly helpful for people, so I uploaded it to YouTube as well. Miss Teacher Tiger, okay. Hey, cat boy. Hey, Specs Guy 8. Can't stay if I wanted to drop in and say hi. Oh, hi. Thank you for dropping in. I appreciate it. Have a good whatever daytime it is for you. And take care till next time. Oh, hey. We have a great artist in the chat. Hey, Ross. I dare not to pronounce your name because I will probably butcher it. Yeah, that's a very well-known artist that I really like. I can open the FA because I have it in safe for work mode. There we go. Just let me put that in chat here. Yeah. I think I remember a line from Coach Knight comic where students shrank Coach Knight's clothes so they wouldn't fit and they ripped, so they can just pull up it.
Wait, why don't I remember that?
Wait, yeah, that's which one was that?
Coach Knight?
Coach Knight?
By something you did?
I don't remember it myself. Very artist doesn't make mistakes, does capital accent. That's my.
Aww.
Yeah, Ross is a very very good artist that has done some incredible work over the years. And yeah, if you look at his stuff, you'll see that he's done quite a few different things in the past as well. And you can see the evolution of style and such. So yeah, like if you want to see somebody really finding a cool style and just thriving of it, then I suggest checking him out. Oh hey Elsong, we're good. Ah, thank you, you're so kind.
I think you're both awesome.
Thank you. But yeah, it's cool to have another artist in here. I should hydrate and stretch. Thank you, Elias.
Hydrate, good idea.
Azure does so as well. We should make a Oh, Elsong, thank you so much for the sub. Well, the gift sub. Oh, okay. For the gift sub, thank you. Welcome to the sub weeks.
You wanted to say that we could just do ASMRs
No.
where we drink and stretch?
No. We do a challenge where each time I'm told to hydrate, you have to drink double the amount. And only when the people say you can go use the bathroom, you can go use the bathroom.
Oh boy, that's like asking for a potty emergency.
Oh, Dr. Roo tells me to stretch and Titanic ASMR. What? No.
I don't know. Are we supposed to hit icebergs?
Yeah. I don't know. Okay, so now all that's left to shade is the head. So if we, yeah, you can already see that it looks quite nice if we disable the white layer. Okay. By the way, tomorrow we'll continue playing Wolf Among Us, right?
Depending on how late we get.
Oh right, we have our pen and paper role playing game tomorrow.
But I'm guessing we will be home in time to do a live stream, so that hopefully shouldn't be a problem.
Yeah, and if we aren't, we're probably gonna do it on Sunday again, or are we? Or are you gonna postpone it to the next one?
Well, if we're not gonna manage to do a stream tomorrow, then we'll try on Sunday again.
Okay.
That's right. Also, Titanic songs, there was like only one song. And I'm not gonna hit those high notes.
No, thank you. Okay.
Even I am not that cruel.
So yeah, the head shading is always a bit tough, but again, that's not something I can really talk about, you know, and like give very clear instructions on. But I always try to sort of think about, you know, this area around the eyes to have this sort of, you know, bend to it, and then, you know, make that a little darker, and you know the cheeks are so like lit in a different way, and of course the muzzle is too. But to explain it is really tough. I think your best shot to figure out how that works is really to look at how other artists are doing it. I mean, I know that, you know, some artists upload like their stream recordings on Patreon when they work on a picture, or like, you know, Picardo, or you can just look at, you know, artwork and see how the shading works in some fashion. But again, like I can understand why some tutorials struggle to tell people how shading works, because it's really tough to figure out, you know, where light goes and where shadows go, and it's all really a matter of practice. Okay, so we're almost done with that. So next thing that we're gonna do are the rim lights, which are sort of a nice technique that I taught myself, I guess, after looking at, you know, other people doing that. I think it's more, it's a little bit from, you know, the way movies are lighting their characters, and so it's you erase little bits at the edge of the lines at the opposite of the darker end of the character, not the opposite end, but like you sort of take away a little bit of the edges there to give them a slight light glow, which makes the character stick out a bit more from the rest of the picture. So yeah, that helps. You can also use a different shade for that, you know, if you want to give it, you know, like a little blue hue to sort of mimic what I talked about earlier. You can see like the little blue area over here, or, you know, like the blue shading for this one. If I change this around real quick, environment, you know, if we kind of mirror it like this, then you can see, you know, this bluish hue, you know, it's sort of looking like, you know, it's illuminated by sunlight. And you can try to do that as well, depending on whether you like that look or not. If you're starting out, I would always suggest, you know, going with a little simpler shading, like, you know, cell shading and stuff, because shading on its own can add a lot to a picture, but it can also be very demanding to, you know, to add to each picture. And there's also something that you kind of have to keep in mind when you're drawing. Like the more you establish your own style as more complex and more detailed, the more you're asking yourself to live up to that standard, and eventually you either have to decide to keep that certain standard, or, you know, go back to a simpler style. And I know that I've struggled with that a lot, because I was a perfectionist, you know, for a very long time, that I always strove for um strive for, sorry, for, you know, making my artwork better and better. And eventually it kind of developed into this obsession where I was getting miserable about, you know, the amount of work I was facing with each picture, just because I demanded of myself to color in each picture, to give it a background, shading, the full treatment, because I was telling myself that people were demanding that sort of quality from myself, which is of course not true. Like, people are happy with artwork just being there, like we talked about earlier, that people are just happy when artists share their work, and it's really true. So I've really distanced myself from that sort of mindset where I just go, okay, I'm gonna keep it black and white now, or just a sketch, who cares, it's just a quick picture anyway. And I fare much better nowadays with that, because it's just more relaxing to not worry about how much people are demanding of me, or think that my artwork should have a certain level of quality. um what's name that technique is, what, I don't know, to be honest, what this technique is called. It's just my own workflow, really. I can go into more depth than that. It's just what I've sort of established for myself. Painting is very enlightening. Thank you. All right. So now we've got the basic shading done, which it already looks nice, right? So what we're going to do now is we're going to add a second shading layer on top of that, and we're going to give it the same sort of properties as the first one, but we're going to lower the fill value to just something like 40. And what we're going to do now is we're going to go into the already shaded areas that we have here, the ones that are in the dark, and give the shaded areas a bit more depth. Because that's what you usually see in older video games, where they only have like one shadow depth, basically. So everything that's is either completely lit or it's completely dark. And so when you have areas that are not lit by sunlight and are in the shade, then they tend to be very washed out and very gray, and not look very realistic anymore, because the shading, the shadow depth is lacking. So we're gonna add just a little bit more depth here near the neck and the chest area, and then also here, and then also the tail, because that's behind him, of course. There we go. It's a little bit rougher than my usual shading, but you can definitely see the difference in a minute. So I use very smooth brushes for this one. If you want a harsher shading, that's also fine. I use that too myself sometimes, to especially to mimic a certain more cartoonish style. It's all really personal preference, though. There are tons of different shading options, and some people use completely different techniques that are wildly different in terms of look and in terms of like how to go about creating them. So that is just something that you really need to figure out for yourself by looking up tutorials and stuff. Good evening, Bad Shade 21. Back from throwing pills at dogs. I hope you hit some of the pills, yeah, some of the dogs with the pills, because if they need to get those pills, then they should better they should better land inside their muzzles and not on the floor. Okay, so now we've got another shading layer on top of that, and already you can see the difference. If I take that one out, you can see that it's much more. It looks much more in depth and much more realistic to a certain degree. So we're going to do that once more with a shading layer on top of that with an even lower value, so maybe like something like 20. And now I'm just going to use a very low opacity brush and just add some more depth to all areas that I think could use it. That, and just make this a little darker. It's very nuanced and very low in terms of like how visible it is. But if you deactivate it, it becomes apparent that it still adds a little bit of depth to the character. So that's the shading all done, and now you can also see the rim lights kind of working their magic and making certain areas of the body pop a little bit more, like the hands here, for instance. So now we're gonna add after we add the dark, now we're gonna add the light, the highlights. So for the highlights, we're gonna use just the plain white color, and what I use as a fill method is the color dodge method, and I use the fill for about 30. What I can show you what this thing does if I put it to 100 first. Always loved your artwork and stuff for a long time. So glad you're streaming your stuff. Thank you, PhD Fatty. I recognize that name from FA. Yeah, thank you so much. So now I'm gonna draw in with a really soft brush the areas that I think the light is shining on and that are particularly highly lit. And you can see, okay, so it's white, right? So this looks kind of like too much. Okay, so what's the difference between normal and color dodge? If I lower the normal opacity, you can see that the white color is always present. Like even if I lower it very much, you can see it kind of like shining through. If I turn it to color dodge, however, now it seems brighter at first, but the more I lower it, the more you can see the original color being, included in the brightness. And once you go to something like 25, maybe, it really looks nicely lit. So I'm gonna erase some of that again, so we're not overdoing it. And then we start going into all the areas that are properly lit, like the head. The arm here. You don't need to be very precise with your brush strokes for this. You can just, go with a very large brush and just go into the areas that have light on it. There we go. All right, this is a little bit too much, so I'm gonna lower the value once more. There we go. Okay. All right, so now again, if we deactivate it, you can see the colors are popping much more. Also, shading is so tough for me to understand how to do. I still have to learn something Schadenfreude. You mean Schadenfreude? Yeah, shading is really an area that takes a lot of learning and a lot of practice to get right. I can definitely relate to that. Again, if you're starting out, I would suggest doing simple shading, because that way you can sort of approach the subject at your own pace and not worry about it not looking the way you want it to look. Let me find something that applies to what I mean. Well, this one, for instance, is like typical cell shading. Oh no, it has boobs on it, but it doesn't have nipples, so it should be fine. I mean, this is E926, so this counts as clean. You can see the hard edges, and you can also see the brighter areas here and stuff. It's very very basic, but it can still add a lot to a picture, and just make it all look that much more three-dimensional. So it doesn't have to be very complex shading for it to look good. If you go for a certain style, then that can help you achieve that. Hello, Andrew Clark. Thank you for lurking. Let me see what else we got, just to illustrate what I'm saying. Oh gosh, I don't want to click on some of these pictures, but yet I do. What the fuck? Okay, let's close that one. Oh, this is actually not a bad, never a bad idea. You can see this very simple shading, but of course, you know, it's the style of the Beastars manga, so. I don't mind you lurking. I'm doing fine myself, and so is Azure. It's with us as well.
Yes.
So okay, now we got the shading, the highlights done. So now we're gonna add the details highlights. So details highlights are usually little things, you know, that could have some light spots on them. So for instance, the claws right here, and of course on the feet as well. So just, you know, very basic bright spots. Erase a little bit to give them this softer look. There we go. And then of course the thumb and the index finger here. And then of course the nose, which I got, this idea I got from Zosh. He used this like sort of soft gradient for the nose to make it, give it the iconic dog nose look, which really appealed to me. So I kind of started doing that myself. Yeah, that you can see it. You can do it in different ways. Like Chuni also is the master of like atmospheric and realistic shading. Like his stuff is just beyond this world. I mean, really great artist, and I think he really is one of the best. Like that is just insanely good. Enjoy his work so much. All right. So we got that one done. Usually I use these details in 2 layers. So I usually use the overlay fill method, which you know, lowers the opacity of the white color, but adds it onto the, or overlays it to onto the layer below, and then I duplicate that layer to make it a little bit more stand out. I use linear dodge add, and then I lower the opacity to bring the white back a little bit, and that's how that's done. So now all that's missing is the rim lights layer. The rim lights, we already did these, but I always add another one and give it like a slightly bluish hue, and then also use the linear dodge add fill method and fill it with 20%. And what I do then is I just go in and do the rim lights once more in other areas where I think they are applicable. Shooting stuff gives me a nosebleed, yeah. I understand that, and I can relate to that.
Wow, definitely.
So, you know, just go in and do the same thing basically that we've done before, but you know, with the slight bluish hue, it now gives it a little bit more of a distinct look.
I think after you, Julie probably does the second best uncut cocks in the fandom.
Well, you might be right. Although that's a bit presumptuous of me to tap my own horn and toot my own horn and go like, I draw the best uncut cock.
That's what I'm there for, to toot your horn.
Yes, and you do it so well. All right, so almost done. And then, you know, we're gonna do something for a background. We're gonna put the Sistine Chapel in there and draw that from scratch. No, of course not. I think we're gonna skip the background because backgrounds are a big topic on their own. Yeah, it's there's a reason why I use Desk Studio for them nowadays. It's not that I don't like drawing backgrounds anymore. It's just, you know, it's much easier and much quicker. And, you know, basically it adds the same thing. But I still like to draw backgrounds at times when I have a good idea for them. Oh, thank you so much, Elsa. Okay. Almost done. Let's give them a little bit more here and here. There we go. All right. I think we can also. Oh no, I already did that. Well, think we can add a little bit more depth to the eyes here, real quick, to get them a little bit more darker color and over the edge here. Oh, right there. That's the wrong layer. There we go. Okay. So now we're gonna do something that I wait a second. We're just gonna add some more highlights to make the teeth a little bit more brighter here. There we go. Give them some nice pearly whites. Okay, this is a slight detail, but it's important to me. Details are important. So now we're gonna do something that I sort of adapted for myself over time. By you know, looking at my art and thinking that the lines are too prominent, because I like soft lines, but the way I draw nowadays with these very like pencil like brush, you have these harsh irregular lines that don't look very smooth. So to smoothen them out, I came up with this technique that I'm going to show you now. So you can see I put every color and shading layer into this group, into this folder here. So everything that's you know, coloring and shading is in here. So I'm going to duplicate that above the line art, and then you can see the line art disappearing underneath it. And I'm going to delete the layer mask, so it's, you know, now you can see everything that I I drew over. And I'm going to reduce that. I'm going to merge that to one single layer. And now I'm going to make that dependent on the line art. So like this. And then I'm going to add a little blur filter here, just like 4 pixels. That's okay. And then I lower the fill volume to something like 60. And now you can already see that the lines are much smoother, because, you know, the color from the coloring and the shading is sort of like bleeding into the line art. You know, people would argue that I could reach the same effect if I just lowered the opacity of the line art, and that's true. But if the line art disappears, then sometimes you will get these edges that, you know, don't look too nice, and, you know, they sort of like don't look very clean, and I would have to go in and clean them up. So I just do this technique instead. And before I finish that, I just go in, because you can see it kind of looks strange with the eyes. So I just erase that part around the eyes, and then also around the mouth, and maybe also around the nose to give it the more in-depth black lines again. Oh, and also the eyebrows, because they're black as well. There we go. All right, and now if we can zoom in a bit to make it more apparent. So if we disable this layer, you can see that the lines are becoming much smoother and disappear a little bit. What's one background you hate seeing in art at this point because it's either overdone or not done well? Oh, that's an interesting question, Dakota Lander. A background that I find is overdone. Okay, this is a particular pet peeve that I don't think is necessarily something I hate, but it's just something I've I've seen so many times now that it becomes funny to me, and that is stock photo locker room backgrounds. If you look at the image search for locker room, uh, okay, okay, no, I'm not sure. Okay, I'm definitely sure I've seen this one before, and there was another picture that I've seen. It was pretty high up on the search results. I think, yeah, it might be yeah, it might be this one. But yeah, I've seen like people use just like the first result, or like one of the first results for like locker room stock photos, and just slap that onto their picture as a background. And I just find it funny that you just know where something is from when you just type it into Google. Other than that, any type of background that I really hate seeing. Okay, one thing I really hate seeing is game screenshots. Like if they use a screenshot from a game and they have a badly drawn character plastered on it, or like game concept art. So because that feels so cheap, when you have like the picture of Call of Duty in the background of your picture, um, that's something I really don't like, because especially when they use concept art, because the concept art is so high quality and the character often isn't, that it feels like you're trying to elevate your own picture's quality through someone else's work. So that's something I don't enjoy. That one, Elson says, that one picture you drew of Azure and me featuring our hoods was really done incredibly well. Thank you.
Oh, yeah.
Probably forest camping or coffee shops. Well, I don't mind either of them. Freak and locker rooms. Well, that's what the action is. I don't mind locker rooms, but yeah, I can I can often spot it when they use stock photos for that. We could actually try and see if we can find a clean locker room picture that has a stock photo as a background. That would be interesting. See, already, isn't that the one we just looked up?
Oh.
Isn't that one? No, it's not. It's not. Okay.
But it's very similar.
It's similar. Yeah, the blue lockers. It's similar. It's definitely. I think it's definitely a stock photo with the double doors. Yeah. Okay. But yeah, case in point, you can see these blue lockers. I mean, they are very prevalent, but oh, this one might also be. No, okay, that's wrong. It'd be funny if we saw a picture with the exact background that I just looked up. But no, these artists are all being very good boys and or girls, or in between that are all putting work into their backgrounds. That's nice. Clean locker rooms. That's an oxymoron. Love locker rooms, but using a stock photo when you're an artist, that's just lazy. I don't understand reference by using stock pics for that only. I've done that when I was starting out. I can understand using stock photos for backgrounds. I think once you're able to draw backgrounds, you should. But yeah, if it's a free stock photo, I guess there's no harm in it. But still, also, is it just me, or is this person missing their head? I just realized that. Oh wait.
He's got a helmet on.
Oh right, yeah, okay. For a second, I was thought they had their head stuck in the
It looks
boot.
weird because of the
Yeah.
helmet, but
Drawing a buckle is a major pain. Yeah, that's true. That's why, like especially if you just trying to get perspectives right, you can use that studio for that too. You can like make little simple primitive objects like cubes, and then just like stretch them out, or have them work in different size. So already, for instance, if you want to draw a row of lockers, you could just use that as a reference. So that can help a lot. Okay. I think that's pretty much it for now. I guess we could maybe add a shadow to it. The thing is, what I think that studio really helps is, trying to draw something man-made, something that has a lot of structure and repeating patterns and stuff like that. So especially with, lockers that are just a one long row of, the same object over and over again. Like trying to draw that by hand can be such a pain that it can really help you to have something at your disposal, either a photograph or that you use as reference, or a 3D model, because it just takes so much work off your hands, not having to worry about perspective and distance between objects and stuff like that. Yes, it's Photoshop I'm using. Photoshop CS4. It's an older version of Photoshop, but it's still doing what it's supposed to do. And yeah, if I had the money, I would probably spring for the subscription. But I heard some nasty things about modern Photoshop versions. I haven't been able to, confirm them, but it wouldn't surprise me if like newer Photoshop versions are less stable. But if they are, that's good. It's just I can't afford the subscription, which is like, was it $30, $60 or something? I think I looked it up on the first stream actually. So yeah, just adding a little shadow there, and there we go. That's pretty much it. So
what a cute boy.
Thank you. So yeah, I'll put a link to the Photoshop file as well as the reference file underneath the upload on YouTube, and so you can download that and look at the layers yourself, and maybe try to follow along the steps that I did. Get Clip Studio Paint. Yeah, I heard that should be good. I haven't used it myself, but I heard from other people using it that it's very, very good. I mean, to me, it's a pain where I have there's a lot of small details in perspective, especially since I'm a detail freak. Yeah, I know what you mean. As you was praising me for my scenery porn, as he puts it.
Oh yeah.
Okay, we'll have to go back a little bit. Oh no, actually we don't, since I don't have porn enabled. But yeah, this one, for instance, I went not so bonkers on this. This is all hand drawn. This is not any sort of reference that I slapped on there or something. But yeah, this was a lot of work to get right, and even still, I think the mountains kind of look off, but it's okay. So that was a lot of work. And so coming back to what we talked about earlier, the commissioner basically said, I want these two characters wrestling in a pond, in a forest, and that was it. And that's what he got from me. So yeah, be careful what you wish for sometimes. Yeah, that background is all hand drawn. But again, that's what using references is really for, and what can really help with that. Because you can just sort of get the look of something, and then sort of convey it with your own technique, basically. Trying to see what else. Oh yeah, this for instance is also a picture where I used 3D models as reference, but everything is basically drawn over or hand drawn. But this is already one where I would utilize 3D models just to get perspectives and details right, and also just to save myself a lot of work. That water looks realistic. Thank you. Oh, right. Yeah, I should mention this one. This was from Eurofurence 2015? 16.
Oh yes, that's a beauty.
Yeah, that one is still one that I'm most proud of, I think, to this day. Because that was... Okay, we should be back. I apologize for that. I have never before experienced the blue screen on Windows 11. But I guess that's the first time for everything. Yeah, you should be able to hear me now. I'll try to cut that out of the video once I upload that. Oh well, something new that you learn every day. I should try opening that picture again to see, just to see if it happens once more. So yeah, this was 2016, and definitely one piece of art that I poured in the most work to that point. Freaking ads giving me a heart attack. I'm sorry.
Aww.
There shouldn't be any ads, but apparently Twitch doesn't really agree with that. If you put in the option for no ads, I don't know. Some countries apparently still play ads. I don't know why. Anyway, yeah, this is also all like hand drawn. I think I wasn't even using 3D models at that point for reference, so I was just kind of winging it and trying it on my own. The buildings in the background, for instance, are something that I created entirely in Photoshop, and the way I did it was I can show you real quick how I did that, because it's a really fun technique, I think. So basically, you go about making a texture like you would use in a video game. So you make a black box basically, and then a white one on top of that to sort of simulate the windows. And of course, this is just really rough, but you would take the precise distance and make sure everything is the same. Just gonna show this real quick here. There we go. I'm gonna do that on separate layers just because I can easier modify them. And so, for instance, you would do this like this, but it's a lot of layers. Oh, I missed one. There we go. So like this, and I could actually flatten. I don't need all these separate. And there we go. And then I would go into these and just start selecting them at random, and use the eraser tool to sort of give them a different look. And then I would continue doing that for others. Sometimes I would delete some of them. There we go. Because in a skyscraper, not all at night, not all windows are lit. At least, actually, most of them aren't lit. Then you lower like the opacity for those that you want to be a little darker. And okay, this is just really quick and messy. Go and just make these a little lighter. And so you basically do this, and then you have this as a basic texture, very, very basic. And now imagine you're doing this like 3 more times, but like with different window configurations. And then what you start to do is you start to take these flat pictures and then distort them to sort of fit together, like that. And then you can make that a little brighter or darker, depending. We could make it a little darker. And then, add a rooftop on that. When something takes place at night, especially, it's very easy to do, and also like some AC units on that. They don't even have to be perfectly aligned to the perspective, because people are not going to pay that much attention to them. There we go. And already you've got a building. That's very very basically how you can construct a building entirely in Photoshop and still give it like a three-dimensional look. And when you put on a lot of work, you get something like this. But yeah, this is definitely a picture that I was really happy about. And same with some others that oh yeah, this one for Sirius, for instance, also one I put a ton of work into, especially like the destruction. So I think I've paid my dues for in terms of how much work goes into my backgrounds, that nowadays I just want to take it a bit easier and instead just focus on things I enjoy, and the stuff that gets tedious I just try to find a way around it and find a way to make it less stressful for me, like with the stream picture where this is all 3D models, but I still go in and touch up things and add details. All right. Yeah, I mean, it's a bit a shame that the stream kind of got disconnected for a moment there, because we're almost done already. But again, I will edit this together and then it should all be fine. Yeah, can open up the good boy real quick. I'll post that picture later on Twitter and FA and other sites. But that is it from me for now. Let me know if you have any more comments or questions, and I will be happy to answer them. Otherwise, I think I will then say my goodbyes for today. But I'm gonna give you guys a few more minutes to type your comments. If you do need time to ask a question, please say that you have a question, and then I'll wait. Glacios has 3 horse emotes. That's a good question.
Maybe he should stop horsing around.
How do you draw muscle for beginners? Oof, that's a good question. Thing is, there are good books about that. I'm trying to remember that. Maybe Drawbox also has a tutorial on that. I can look it up. Do I have a search option? I hope so. There's like books that you can buy. Fuck, I forgot the name. Let me look it up. I think I still have them here. Oh yeah, there we go. Drawing cutting edge comics by Christopher Hart. They have some really good comic, some really good tutorials on how to draw muscles and such. I'm not sure if they have any pictures from inside the book. I think there was something. Yeah, but you can see there's like a whole thing about muscles and stuff in it, and how to construct bodies. So if you want to learn how to do that, that's a really good book to get. Oh, you have a few of his books already. That's cool. Yeah. And then, of course, if you combine that with using that studio, you can also see, how the muscles work, and especially when you're posing characters, so it feels very, very useful to combine, the efforts and use 3D models as a basic reference, and then look up certain things in this book, and then you should be good. No, I'm gonna miss the trial. Fuck. Okay. Are you left-handed? Yes, I am left-handed, Blair Force. That is actually true. You're welcome, also. I hope it helps. I haven't used it myself a lot, but I think it because I found it a little bit too late. I was already pretty well versed in a lot of things they talk about. But I think it's still very useful to just have some, even if you only use it for reference, just to have something on hand.
It's also fun that we're both left-handed.
Yeah, Azure and I are both left-handed. That's true. Okay. Yeah, I think that's pretty much it for now. I would like to thank everybody for joining in and for commenting. And yeah, I hope you guys enjoyed it, and I hope you guys got something out of it from this stream. Next time, maybe we're gonna do a bit more, the of stuff like the behind the scenes aspect of drawing, because I feel that those are not covered enough. I think there are a lot of drawing tutorials out there, but I don't think there are a lot of tutorials out there that tell you, what you're in for when you're a furry artist, and what you have to deal with. So stuff like criticism, we talked a bit about pricing and stuff. So I think that's something I would like to chat about next time. But we'll see about that. If you have any more questions, or want to see something, want me to cover something, feel free to always contact me about it, and send me a message. You know where to find me. Other than that, I hope you guys stay safe, and I hope you have a good day. And yeah, till next time.
Bye.
Bye, guys. Take care.